Welcome to Want More with Dr. Moore, the criminologist of the Bay, where we bring you stories and insights at the intersection of justice and society. I'm your host, Dr. Talia Moore, and today we're going to explore a shocking indictment that reveals the dark side of power and manipulation in the fashion industry. Let's get into the allegations against Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson. The defendants are accused of exploiting the hopes and dreams of young male aspiring models, all by luring them into the seedy underworld of modeling. The indictment paints a chilling picture of a prostitution and sex trafficking enterprise that operated from 2008 until 2015. The fashion industry, often portrayed as glamorous and all of these wonderful things, really there's this undercore, this very seedy existence. And these gentlemen, loosely, were a part of that. Prosecutors allege that Jeffries and Smith used the allure of modeling and opportunities within the modeling industry to engage in sex events. And at these events, they were exploited, they were physically and mentally abused and manipulated, and they were force fed drugs that really took away their ability to make decisions and sound decisions on their own. Jeffries, being the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch from 1992 to 2014, had a vast array of money and opportunities at his disposal should he choose to bestow them on any of these young models. And so they were really looking for opportunities. And if you're unfamiliar with Abercrombie and Fitch, let me just tell you, in the 1990s through the early 2000s, it was a major fashion brand that appealed to many teens and young adults. Some of their ads were considered very risque and really bordering on appropriateness for young people. And so they received a lot of notoriety because of that. Now, they didn't really cater to my aesthetic, but I definitely remember them being a very popular brand at the time. The defendants created an environment where compliance was not just expected, but it was demanded. The indictment includes allegations against Jacobson, who was employed by Smith and Jeffries, and alleges that he would, under false pretenses, go out and seek young men and try to get them to work under these circumstances. It's a stark reminder how those in power can exploit their positions for insidious purposes. As the case unfolds, we battle the struggle not just for justice, but for truth in a world clouded by wealth and influence. The defendants allegedly spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a staff. And you can imagine this is an international prostitution, human trafficking enterprise, right? So this is not just some mom and pop shop, but people are these guys actually had a team of people that were across the world. This operated in New York City. This operated in Morocco. They took trips to Bali. So we would see, or you could see, that this is definitely a team effort. And so there was a lot of money spent to pay for the team. This includes security. This includes anybody who's picking up these unfortunate victims and bringing them to these places, right? So the money invested in this enterprise was really absorbent. The victims were coerced. They were fed drugs that, again, took away their ability to make sound decisions and really put them in very precarious circumstances with these abusers essentially around them. Under the guise of opportunity, these young victims would participate and engage in these parties, thinking that they could possibly be the next face of an Abercrombie and Fitch campaign. And again, knowing how popular the brand was and all of the opportunities that one would assume or could assume would be available to them, they were definitely under the guise that that would be an option for them. So as the allegations mount, right? We're starting to see some other things unfold. Jeffries, one of the main defendants in this case, was diagnosed with dementia and cognitive impairments. And so now what calls the question is his ability to really participate in his own defense, the conversation around competency. So he is set for a competency evaluation in June of this year, results and dates to be determined. So it makes you question, or wonder, will his health hinder the pursuit of justice? Will that become a shield in regards to any type of personal accountability? If convicted, the defendants could face a life of imprisonment, but the road to that type of case adjudication is going to be a tough one to travel. We're dealing with people who have millions of dollars at their disposal, have access and wealth, and have friends and acquaintances in powerful positions. So it really makes you question the type of justice that will be extended. Now, as we talk about this case, I can't help but to notice, and you probably too, the parallels between this case and the Diddy case. We're talking about, things that came to light pretty much around the same time. We're talking about two very influential, well-resourced, wealthy individuals. Yet there are some differences in the case that I definitely want to point out. Jeffries was able to post bail. He put up $10 million, an absorbent amount of money, but that guaranteed his release from custody. And when Diddy offered to put up to $50 million underneath the same understanding of bail, he was denied. Now, I do want to say that, this is definitely not a call to action in support of Diddy, especially considering those allegations. But what I do want to bring up is really the understanding of what justice is and how it can present itself differently under certain circumstances. Now, again, the cases are pretty similar. We're talking about pretty much the same type of offenses: human trafficking and international human trafficking and prostitution enterprise that operated for a long period of time, and some very similar allegations against Diddy. However, Diddy was denied bail. Now, this could be attributed to Jeffrey's health diagnoses and some concerns around there. It could be attributed to the fact that they were arraigned in different locations, even though they're both going to be federal cases. Or it could possibly even be attributed to racial injustices embedded in the justice system. And so, just something to think about as we examine both of these cases. But really, what I also want to bring to your attention is the fact that despite the defendants involved in the case, really being mindful of the victims. As we pay attention to their plight, there are 15 victims that are in the Jeffries Smith case and Jacobson case. They are victims of human trafficking. As we enter into Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month in January, really being mindful of the implications and what that means. Be mindful that human trafficking impacts men and women, girls, boys, and non-binary individuals as well. This is an issue that occurs across the globe, but also here in the Bay Area. I challenge each of you to take this information into your communities, whether it's through advocacy, volunteering, or simply educating yourself and those around you. Remember, you can make a difference. Thank you for tuning in to Want More with Dr. Moore, the criminologist of the Bay. If you found this episode interesting and informative, please share, like, and subscribe. Until next time, educate, empower, and enact the changes you want to see. Want more.